Hi friends, it's Brittany at Ink and Papyrus, and you guessed it, we are upcycling this box, and I am actually going to make a travel journal. I figured this was the perfect size. This is for an upcoming trip, and I want to set myself up for success this year and actually have a journal ready to go to take along with me so I can capture all of my favorite memories before I forget them. And so come along with me. We're going to be making a travel journal, exploring some awesome travel journal layouts eventually. And yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I've done a lot of trimming. I've trimmed down much of this box. I am saving these to use as the spine, so don't throw these little ends away. I'm just going to even this out a little bit more. Usually the way I like to do this is on my cutting board. I take a ruler, line up the lines on the cutting mat with the box and go ahead and slice down this way, and usually that'll get me even edges. And this is what we're left with. This is going to be a 9.5 or 9 3/4 by just about 5 inches in terms of our book. Okay, now we are going to bind our book. What you want to do is take a piece of the box we have left. I would say make sure this is just slightly longer, the slightest bit longer than our cover, okay? So right about there. And as you can see, this is a little uneven, so actually we're gonna have to do a little trimming as is. Just gonna even this out. How are you guys doing? Are you doing well? I have been looking so forward. Oops. I have been looking so forward to this trip for so long now. And now we are in the middle of a cold blast, and I could not be more excited to be jetting on out of here toward the warmer weather. Oh. Why am I failing at this? I think I'm not holding this down well enough. Okay, definitely more even. All right, perfect. Do you see how it's just if I line it up here, you can see it's just slightly longer, okay? See that? So what I want you to do is leave maybe about not quite a quarter of an inch in between the front cover, the spine, and the back cover. Okay, this is how I'm going to position this. Now, I can tell you I much prefer Tyvek tape. This is Scotch packing tape. This is just all I have on me right now. So my Tyvek tape ran away. It grew legs. So we're going to be doing a couple of passes over the box. If you have some stronger tape, you probably only need 1 or 2 passes. I'm going to make this tape just a little bit longer than this because we're going to be folding it up. You'll see what I mean in a second. If you haven't ever bound a book together before, welcome to the world of journal making. It is so great, it is so fun, and you will never leave. I promise. So we're going to take that. It's about even. It's a little bit more narrow up there. I can resituate this. Maybe. Yes, I'm going to resituate this. I'm usually more smooth than this, guys. I'm sorry. There. Okay, it's about even. So watch, we're going to fold this over. Okay. You are going to have to fold a little bit of tape over onto the cover, or else obviously you're not going to bind it together. There are clever ways to cover the tape. we will go over those. Don't you worry. Same thing over here. Try and create the same amount of space between the spine and the cover here as you do here, okay? We want symmetry. All right. As you can see, this tape is pretty weak. We are going to be doing a couple of passes. Try and lay it down so you don't end up moving all over the place like I did with the first pass. Okay, this is weak tape, as I said. Sorry, no ringing endorsement for Scotch packaging tape. It has its purpose. This is not my favorite for journal making, for sure. What do? We're gonna make a couple of passes to make sure our cover stays together. I'm telling you, Tyvek tape is where it's at, baby. And I'm not sponsored, that's for sure, but you know what? I'm just not sponsored, I'm just a fan. Okay, another pass. And actually, if you kind of fold it like this, you can really get it in there. Okay, we are reinforcing the cover with either really heavy cardstock or fabric. I haven't decided yet, but either way, you know, you should be able to feel, make sure it's got some grip to it. Make sure you're able to easily hinge the cover with the spine. If not, then you may have not come over far enough with the tape onto the cover. Like I said, don't worry, we're gonna reinforce, we're gonna cover up the tape, don't worry about that. This needs another pass of tape, so that's what we're gonna do, and then we should be ready to go. We're gonna start decorating the cover, which is honestly one of my absolute favorite parts of journal making. And this is project, I was inspired to do this project because I have a few boxes of ephemera from previous trips, and I'm embarrassed to say how long it's been since I went on those trips. I still haven't journaled about them, and I want to avoid doing that this year because, you know, part of the reason why you want to keep a journal is to document detailed accounts of, you know, fun memories you had, and the more time that passes by, the less detailed and, you know, some of the special nuanced things, like where you maybe went out to eat there, or some funny things that may have happened on your trip, or something you saw that kind of gets lost over time, right? Which is the purpose of the journal. So I'm setting myself up for success this year by actually having one set up to bring with me so I can do a little bit of journaling there while I'm out of the country. Okay, I want you to grab yourself some heavy cardstock or fabric. We're going to we're gonna decorate the cover. I would definitely recommend, especially with the lighter tape, I would recommend reinforcing the spine with fabric. And that is a great way to hide this tape that overhangs on the front and the back cover. So grab that and we will get to decorating. Okay, now in deciding on the cover, you know, typically I would have done maybe like a brownish vintagey journal, but I'm going to the Cayman Islands. I know, cry me a river, right? So I think I want something bright and beachy. So I was looking at these palms. That's beautiful, right? I was thinking that would fit this better. And these more vintagey papers, we could utilize some of them in the signature pages. So, and this is kind of sailor themed. Like this, I think would make a beautiful travel journal cover. Maybe I'll use this for a future trip that I go on. But I think I'm really feeling the bright and the bold themes. I also have this paper pack that I got, I believe, from Michael. Yeah, Michael's. Recollections Key West. Has a lot of bright, bright beachy tropical pages, and yeah, obviously this is called Key West. And I have had some Florida trips I still have to journal about, specifically some dive trips, but some of these would also make a good, beautiful decorations for the cover. I still am really feeling this bright palm paper, so I think I'm going to use that for the cover, and then I'll have to decide obviously what I'm going to use for the inside cover pages, and then decide what fabric I'm going to use to reinforce the spine with. Actually, I know this is kind of busy, but how beautiful would this look as the cover, and then use this to decorate the inside page, or the inside cover. So as for designing the cover, I'm going to make this real easy peasy. I am going to sew this. So all I'm going to do is start putting down some glue stick. Okay. You know, not crazy amount. If you don't want to sew, that's fine. I recommend using a silicone or a white glue, something more permanent that will secure your cover in place. I would also recommend, once you put a lot of glue on, dabbing it like this with your finger and smushing it around before you put the paper down so that you don't get a ton of wrinkling. Okay, oh my gosh, look at the flamingos. That's the, you know what, about having double-sided paper like this. You have to choose, and sometimes that is the hardest part. Alright, where did my scissors go? I had them. There they are. Alright. So I'm just going to cut right along. Make sure you save all your scraps, because we're going to be doing some decorating of this inside cover here. And everyone makes travel journals differently. What defines a travel journal, I don't know. I certainly like the skinnier, kind of long look. Certainly I don't think there's any specific dimension it has to be. And obviously you use it to record. I mean, some people use travel journals to record things about their day-to-day life and make notes and stuff, but I love these for actually going on trips. Okay, make sure you know what's top bottom. We don't want upside down palm trees. This is a little off center. You can tell that the one side of the cover is just slightly higher than the left. I don't think it's going to matter in the long run. When we reinforce the spine with fabric, you're going to have a fabric overlay, and I think it will kind of, you just won't be able to tell. Okay, I'm not going to sew this until we have the inside cover squared away too, because this will obviously, the sewing will secure both the front and back, inside and outside covers. Now, while you still have your scraps out, you need to decide. So I'm going to do a hidden spine. I'm going to put fabric on the outside of the spine to reinforce it, and then I am going to, once I bind my signatures to this, I'm going to glue this in. So you will be able to see some of this, so we need to cover it. I think I'm going to go ahead and just use the palms again. We need to make sure this is sized appropriately. You want this ever so slightly more narrow than the actual spine itself, and obviously it needs to be shorter or the same length. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay. Actually, I cut a little too much off. That's okay. Okay. You won't be able to see that because we'll be covering it with fabric. Okay. So I am just going to put these palms down. This will be the part of the spine that is showing. Because I wasn't planning on sewing this, I am going to glue this with more permanent glue. That should fit in nicely. Alright, now as for the spine, I am just going to figure out exactly how wide this needs to be. Okay, so I'm just going to take my glue and we're going to spread it all around. I start on the spine, and then later I will pick up the fabric where once I see where it's going to sit and put glue directly underneath it. Now when you do that, you might get a little bit of seepage of the glue, but to me it's a more exact way of figuring out exactly where you need to put glue, and you're not going to have your fabric ends like sticking up. Alright, so we want to get this smack dab in the middle. See what I'm saying? You'll probably get a little bleed through of the glue, but your fabric is gonna stay nice and taut. You're not gonna have edges sticking up. Okay, the one thing I will say is I can clearly see that I used a cracker box. I can clearly see a cracker through there. I will probably do some decorating of the spine to cover that up. If you are using a box with things on it and a really light fabric, you may want to gesso over it or paint, you know, some white or black over it or something like that before you cover it. But yeah, otherwise I'm pretty happy with how this went. If I wasn't sewing it, I'd probably come in a little bit more with some glue here, but I'm gonna be sewing, and I'm gonna sew right around the cover, and I'm gonna sew on this fabric and around just like that, and around just like that. While we have this fabric out, I want to show you guys though, I think a pocket would look so cool. Okay, a couple of things you could do with this shirt. You could cut out along here, okay, and just cut around this big swatch of fabric, and then just, I think it might look really cool as like a belly band using the buttons. I'm gonna cut this pocket, I'm gonna leave it intact, and I think this would be a really, really cool thing to put ephemera in. And you could do this even if the shirt doesn't have a pocket. You can just make a pocket out of fabric. You're literally just folding a piece on another piece and sewing it slightly lower. So just use a longer piece here, or fold it so that there's a little bit more of the fabric remaining up here, and then fold it over and literally just sew the edges like a pocket. Okay, I'm gonna sew around the cover. I'll be right back. Okay, so I sewed all around my cover, and I actually used some pink thread because I thought it would look really cool. Just the overall, I wanted it to be bright. Well, look, I had a big catastrophe with the sewing machine, not around the actual cover, but around the spine. I got all this nesting and the tension wasn't right and I couldn't undo it, so I just kept going with it. So now I have to find a way to work in this awful sewing into the spine and make it look okay. So I found these Flamingos, the specialty glitter from Recollections, and I am going to glue these, use the nesting to kind of put some glue, tack some flamingos down to the side. This is gonna maybe be a little wild, and hope that it just works. Okay, I have this cordless glue gun I'm trying out for the first time. so bear with me. I just figured hot gluing the flamingos is probably a better idea. This may end up just being a giant disaster, guys. It's very well possible. Okay, aside from the glue beads, what do you think? I see potential. This is not what I envisioned. This is, I think, the only remnant of, yeah, it's the only remnant of flamingo we have. Maybe we can incorporate a flamingo in our closure somehow. Make it a closure and incorporate it there. So I think I'm going to incorporate this flamingo into the cover by backing him with some pink fabric and a little bit of pink lace. And we're going to kind of work this into our closure. I like where this is going. I was a little bit worried there. And to keep the closure simple, I have a button here and I got some of this sari silk. So what we're gonna do, fire this back up. I'm going to glue this little flamingo cluster next to the where the closure is going to be. Okay. Actually, I'm going to try something different today. I am going to glue this down. Then we're going to glue the button on top. Now you want to make sure you have enough height on your button that you can wrap the star silk around. I'm going to let that dry. My intention is to, once the journal is complete, we will wrap the sari silk like this and then wrap it around the button. Okay. I'm not going to do that right now, obviously, because this glue is still drying. We don't need any more disasters today. You want to make sure you leave yourself enough ribbon, sari silk, whatever you're using, that you can lace it around maybe 2 or 3 times. So I think that'll be a good, and obviously give yourself a little extra length. I may want to put a bead or something like that on here. Okay, so I have to say I like where this is going despite the sewing disaster. I think we're finally headed in the direction I want, and I don't know, it's starting to grow on me. Okay, now I'm going to be picking my pages. I think I'm going to have 3 signatures in this journal, and I'm going to make it, the papers are going to be a mix of this cardstock as well as some just dyed papers. I have some stenciled papers. Whenever I'm making a journal, I always create a template page, meaning I always take one piece of paper and decide exactly how long it can be and how wide it can be, and then cut my other pages to length, and this just saves me a lot of time. So let's say it goes like that, and then make a mark at the bottom. Okay. Now you can do this with scissors. Obviously, I much prefer my paper cutter. And we're going to cut right along where our marks are. Okay, so now we have a template page. Now we know exactly how wide and long all of our papers can be. So you're going to start seaming gather pages. I usually like to evenly distribute my pages. So if I have cardstock, decorative cardstock for the first page, then maybe I'll put in a dyed paper for the second, and then maybe I'll put in tracing paper. But regardless, usually I like to keep the same kind of pattern, so I'll put one of each page in each of the signatures, if that makes sense. And I talked more about this in a recent video I did called Mastering Journal Signatures. I will link that above and in the description box in case you're interested. Okay, so I have my vellum, I have some manila pages, I have some die pages, and this is what I was talking about. So what I'll do is I divide these into 3 signatures. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And this is the template page on top. So I'll have, let's say I want to put in tracing paper second. So then I put my tracing paper in. And then we'll say the third page is going to be this beautiful decorated cardstock. So here's the second signature. Tracing paper. Then cardstock. And third signature. Tracing paper. Then cardstock. Okay, and then what if next we want a dyed paper? So I'm going to get this pretty orange dyed paper. This is done with food coloring. I want to stick to bright colors here, obviously. Okay, and third signature, orange. Okay, and then let's do I have some vellum. Let's do vellum next. Okay, so I think this is getting pretty full. Remember, this is a travel journal, and there's going to be a lot of ephemera in here to bulk this up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. However, obviously we have some really thick cardstock, and like I said, with all the ephemera, I think this journal will bulk up really quickly. So let's take a look. Here's my spine. Where my spine went. Where are you? Here it is. Just eyeball. Okay, that should work okay. Give me plenty of space. Alright, so I'm just going to use my template here to cut all of these pages to size, and I will be back. Okay, so I have all my signatures cut to size. Now what we're going to be doing is making holes in our hidden spine where we're going to punch so that we can bind in our signatures. You are going to want to get yourself a ruler and a pen to mark these holes. Let's say, line that up as best as I can. Let's say we're going to make a mark at a 1/2 inch, 1, and 1 3/4. So 1/2, 1, and 1 3/4. So we're going to do 3-hole pamphlet stitch, so we need to make 3 lines. So we're going to say we had 1/2, 1, and 1 3/4. Here's the bottom. I always leave more space at the bottom so that I know when I say space, I mean I always leave a larger gap between here and the holes here than the top of the spine and the holes here. Obviously it's pretty easy to tell on the spine because we have palm trees, so we know which way is up. Okay, 1/2, 1, and 1 3/4. So this is my crocodile, guys. I am always big into saying don't go out and buy a bunch of supplies. Use what you have. Don't overwhelm yourself, but this is one of the things that I think I could not live without. Just punching holes exactly where I made those marks. Okay, And then what we're gonna do is get our signature. We're gonna make sure our pages are situated just how we like. We are gonna get 2 jumbo paper clips. I love these. I could not live without these either, let me tell you. Okay. And we are gonna make 3 marks. We're gonna make our marks exactly where our holes are. Line them up. A little mark here, a little mark here, a little mark here. Okay. Now we're gonna punch 3 holes exactly where we made our marks. Okay. Now, I want you to get embroidery floss or cording or whatever you have, something substantial, and we are going to measure out how many we need. Don't worry, we're not actually really measuring. We are just doing this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I promise this will give you enough so that if you want to tie some charms or something at the bottom, you can. Okay. Let me get a needle quick. Okay, you're gonna want kind of like a big hefty needle you can easily see. Put our thread through, or floss, whatever we're using. Embroidery floss, of course. Okay, we're gonna go in. Make sure you know which way is up. Okay. In. Leave a tail. Up. Out the back. And back in through the middle, right where we started. How easy was that? Pull it through. Okay, try and make it even. Okay, pull it kind of taut, don't strangulate it. We want this securing our pages in the middle of these 2 threads. Now we're just going to tie a square knot. We're going to go right over left. Oops. Let's try this again. Right over left. Left over right. Right over left. Left over right. Okay. Perfect. Now we're going to remove the paper clips. And we're going to do the exact same thing for our second and our third signatures. Situate our papers. All right, so we have our signatures bound into our hidden spine. We are going to get our book, and this is what we're going to do. Keep those handy dandy jumbo paper clips with you. We are going to, oh, you know what? This is growing on me, I have to tell you. I'm actually getting excited about taking this on my trip and using it. This isn't what I envisioned, and there is definitely room for improvement on the sewing front. I still think I'm going to have to do something else to the spine to accept this journal the way it is. But I like where this is going. I like it does make it look kind of shabby chic, maybe. We're getting there. Okay, so I want you to lay your journal out. Get your glue handy. Some really tough glue. Make sure you know which side is up, which side is down. Okay, you don't want to glue your pages in backwards. What we're going to do is cover this spine in glue, and we are going to glue it right on down to our cover. Okay. I want you to glue the heck out of this. Try not to get it in the holes, or else you're going to end up with pages glued to each other. Don't be afraid to get glue on the strings. That's good. Just try not to get it in the holes. Okay, now we're going to put our spine down where you want it. Okay, now I want you to flip to the about halfway point. Okay, now I want you to make sure you're situated just like you like. And I want you to put those jumbo paper clips. Well, actually, first make sure you're able to open and close your journal well. Make sure you're not over where that hinge point is. Okay. Same thing here. Let's make sure we're not too far over. Good. Perfect. Able to open and close easily. Now I want you to put your jumbo paper clips on, clip them onto the signature and over the cover. Do the same thing here. And this is the hardest part, but I want you to leave this just as is, and I want you to wait several hours, if not overnight, before you go back to open it and look. Okay, this will help make sure the spine is bonded to the cover, and I promise you this is the way to go. Okay, so thank you so much for coming along this wild ride with me. I think we finally have a cover we can work with, and I'm really excited to take this on my trip with me. In the coming videos, we're going to be talking about the types of ephemera that you can collect, different ways to utilize it in your journals, and ways to take the ephemera you've collected and make really awesome embellishments out of it to remember your trip by. So thank you so much. If you found value in this, please like and subscribe. My videos come out on Monday and Friday, and I can't wait to see you the next time.